Alright, so we are at the Barry Wolfe Grand Prix, and this is the 50 plus race. Pretty good sized field, beautiful day. This race takes place in Thousand Oaks, California. Um, I am currently recovering from an injury. I'm not 100%. I have a torn calf muscle on my right leg. This is my first race back. It happened about 8 days ago. So, trying to recover from that. Missed the racing last weekend. Missed the LA circuit race and CBR, which kind of bummed me out because I was starting to feel like I was getting back into pretty decent shape after Chuck Pontius. But, things happen. It could have been worse. I'm on the mend. My legs actually felt okay. I just didn't have that ability to just stand up and just rip out a sprint, or I could push hard and just didn't have that violent sprint, that ability to just jump on it and close gaps and do a sprint lead out. Uh, Matter of fact, at the end of this race, I tried to get up to the front to lead Bart out to help him as much as I could, but as soon as I got up to him, they had already started their sprint, so I was like, well, it's kind of pointless at this point. So we've got like going into 2 laps to go here, I think. So that's John Davis right in front of me. He ends up winning this race. Pretty impressive sprint, actually. He pretty much jumped right. So this is the last turn right here. That guy almost took me out right there. He went wide. I don't know why. He just luckily I missed him, but John Davis took off about right here, and it's a complete block headwind right here. And this stretch right here was pretty hard. And my teammate Bart was on his wheel and started to come around him before the finish line here, but just didn't quite have enough real estate. John held him off. It was pretty impressive. It was probably like a 300-meter sprint, and he held him off. So I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with myself here, because I'm just, like, obviously I'm not my normal self, so I don't want to get in anybody's way, but I thought if there's something I can do to help out, um, I'll certainly do it. So
Yeah, like the crashing going faster.
there's Paul Chia. That's Gary Wolfe next to me there. His dad is Barry Wolfe. He's the one that this race is named after. We got to meet him this weekend. He's actually a really nice guy. He threw on one of our kits and raced with us today. There's 2 races on this video. The first one is the end of the 50 plus race, and the second one is the 40 plus race. They both were about equal in speed. I think the 40 plus race ended up being 27.4 average for me, and the 50 plus race was 27.3 average, so real close in speed. Just the backside of the course, it was really fast with the tailwind. We were going 30 plus a lot of the times on this backstretch.
Um,
So I think we're going
yeah,
into
I
Bell
just
Lap
have
here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here, but pretty sure we're going into Bell Lap. And then it'll jump into the 40 plus race, which we had a lot of riders in our race. So yeah, I'm trying to move up here. A little far back to be of any assistance. There's Seabart there. He's in a good spot. And so I'm actually going to just tuck in right behind John Davis here, and then when I get a chance, I'll pop around him, go in front of Bart, and try to do a lead out. It was almost too slow. It started to bunch up a little bit. So I gotta try to move up here. I just let myself drift a little bit too far back. You know, when you're nursing an injury, you're just not quite as fearless and just kind of tentative a little bit. So there's guys on both sides of me, so I've got to try to pop around these guys. You'll see I kind of move up on the inside. There's my teammate Billy to my right. I don't know who this guy's in the green, but he just... he's in over his head a little bit, trying to get up there and sprint. Johnny Lance in front of me there, and my team colors, the purple there. I'm just kind of boxed in on both sides, so this is turn 3. Got 2 turns to go, so I'm gonna just try to move up as soon as we go around the corner here. I kind of go up the inside and pass a whole bunch of people and get it right up behind Bart. And then my plan was to just go right past him and lead him out. But as you can see, as soon as I make this turn, he's on John Davis's wheel. As soon as I make this turn, John jumps. I'm telling Bart, let's go. And then as soon as he jumps like way early, Bart gets right in his draft. And I think what happens is Bart just waited a little bit too long to pop around him and just ran out of real estate. You know, John held him off. It was impressive. So I just kind of sat down and cruised in, because why? I can't sprint, so they want to just try to stay straight. So now we jump ahead to the 40 plus, and at this point in the race, Mark Tucker there was a big break with a bunch of my teammates, and I think we had 3 teammates in a break with, that's Chris DeMarkey in front of me. Chris DeMarkey and Dave Casel, Sharon Smith, Eric Anderson. There was a bunch of heavy hitters in this breakaway, and I can't remember how we ended up bringing him back, but we ended up bringing him back. And Mark and Eric were still off the front. They had like a 25-second gap when we caught the break, and you know, it's a tough call to chase down a friend, even though he's not on your team, because I kind of really wanted Mark to win this race. I didn't realize it at the time, but Eric Anderson, who's on... See, I go to the front and start to chase because, you know, the race is getting down towards like 3-4 laps to go. And, but I realize at this point it's kind of pointless, because unless our entire team was on the front, we're not going to bring him back. And this is just a block headwind right here. And some of the guys behind me are like, just shut it down. So anyways, I just go to the back. I'm like, whatever, you know. Mark ended up staying off, but Eric Anderson, who is a teammate of Sharon Smith and Rasan Bahati, said that he was under team orders to not work with him. So he literally sat on Mark's wheel for the entire 30 minutes that they were off together. And then, of course, he sprinted around him at the end and beat him, because he did absolutely no pulls. I don't know that I agree with that. I know it's team tactics, but, you know, Eric is as strong as anybody out here. He's perfectly capable of winning a race. So I just thought, I don't know. I don't know him that well, and I don't know what their team tactics was, but, you know, when you're off in a breakaway and you have a chance to win... I know that he's got 2 of the fastest sprinters in the country in the pack behind him, so I guess, you know, either way they were going to win the race. But the deck was definitely stacked in their hand. But, you know, you got to hand it to Mark. Mark stayed off the front the entire time, pulling Eric around and held, because we were not going slow. I mean, you can see at times we're doing 35 miles an hour on this back stretch and 30 miles an hour on the front stretch, and they held us off. I mean, it was impressive. At this point, I'm like, do I want to quit? You know, because my right leg was really hurting at this point, because not just from the pulled muscle, but from tentatively walking just like not being able to step on my leg very well. So I have all these accessory muscles in my leg that have been trying to compensate for the injury, and those all came to light when I was riding because my entire right leg, right thigh, right calf, everything was just sore. So, but I really needed the miles because I had the state championship road race the next weekend in Regalado up north. So um, I just wanted to ride as hard as I could and get as many fast miles as I could under my legs. So I ended up finishing this race. Rasan, I think he let out Sharon, and Sharon got third, and Rasan got fourth. So they went first, third, and fourth, but Mark got second. You know, that was a pretty impressive podium spot for him. He drove all the way down here to support this race. This is actually our one of our us and Cirrus Cycling put on this race, so it's kind of like a co-promoted race by our two teams. So it was nice of Mark to come down and support the race, drive 4 hours to come down here, whatever it was for him. So anyways, long story short, I ended up just rolling in. I started to feel a little bit better, so I thought I'd give it a shot and try to sprint. But once I stood up, I was like, nope. My body just said, nope, you're not sprinting. But I've always been good at positioning myself and moving up and getting myself in a spot where I could sprint and do have a chance to win. But the body just didn't agree with me, so the mind was there, but the body wasn't. I think we're going into Bell Lab here, if I remember right. There's quite a few Evoke riders in the race, but one of our stronger guys, Scott Cox, was he had been ill and he had a golf trip with some buddies, so he wasn't there today. It's on the white bike there is Danny Rondon. He's my new teammate that we picked up. He's from Visalia, that lives in Visalia with me. He and I go back to the early 90s. I think he's been racing since actually 1989. We both have 5-digit license numbers because we've been racing for so long. We get going pretty good on this backstretch. I was thinking I was starting to feel a little bit better at this point. I thought, I can get up there and sprint. But once I got up there, like, nope. Save it for another day. There'll be plenty of races. I think we get up to like 36 miles an hour on this backstretch. It was 35, 36. Yeah. I do a pretty good move to get up in a pretty decent position to sprint. Kind of the same move that I did in you can see all the methods to winning, guys on the front drilling it for the sprint. So I kind of go around everybody on the right here and just slide right up into a pretty good spot. And man, if I'd just had some decent legs, I could have passed a few people. But as soon as I stood up right here, I realized that it's just not my day. You'll see some guy just chop my front wheel right here. Right there. Oof! Almost took me out. I was like, what are you doing? You're sprinting for like 25th place, you moron. But